Rob Reiner, the untold story. He was one of the most successful directors in Hollywood history, the man who gave us films that are more than just movies, they're cultural touchstones, the source of lines we quote endlessly, and home to characters who feel like old friends. But just a few weeks ago, that incredible story came to a brutal, almost unbelievable end. On December 14, 2025, Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were found killed in their home, the man arrested for the crime, their own son. It's a story that is almost impossible to fathom. You think you know a man like Rob Reiner from his work, from the romantic comedies that set the standard, courtroom dramas that had you on the edge of your seat, but the story of the man himself is far more complex than any script he ever directed. It's a story about legacy, about stepping out of a giant's shadow only to become a giant yourself, and it's a story about a private, painful struggle that was happening just behind the curtain of all that success, a struggle that ended in the most horrific way imaginable. We all know the lines, "You can't handle the truth, I'll have what she's having," inconceivable. He directed the movies that defined a generation, a titan of Hollywood who, for a time, seemed to have the Midas touch. But behind the iconic lines and the box office billions was a man fighting his own battles. One was a public fight against the towering shadow of his legendary father. The other was a private war, a desperate struggle with his son's addiction that, as we now know, had a devastating conclusion. This is the untold story, the triumphs and the almost unthinkable tragedy of Rob Reiner. The shadow of a giant. Rob Reiner was born on March 6, 1947, in the Bronx, New York, to what you can only describe as comedy royalty. His father was the legendary Carl Reiner, the creator of The Dick Van Dyke Show, a true force of nature. And growing up in that house, their home was a salon for the funniest people on the planet. But for a young Rob living in the orbit of a star that bright was often eclipsing, Reiner himself has been open about this, talking about feeling so desperate to connect with his father that he once said he wanted to change his name to Carl. The pressure to live up to that name was immense. He followed his father into the family business, went to UCLA Film School, took some small acting roles, and then, in 1971, he landed a part that would make him a household name. But it also cemented his identity in a way that would take him decades to reshape. He was cast as Michael "Meathead" Stivic in Norman Lear's groundbreaking sitcom, All in the Family. The role was a perfect fit, and he was brilliant in it, winning 2 Emmy Awards for his performance. For millions of Americans, for nearly a decade, he was Meathead. But you have to wonder, for Reiner the role must have felt like just another shadow. First his father's, now this. He was a successful actor, sure, but he had his own stories he wanted to tell. He wanted to get behind the camera and find his own voice. So, in 1984, he took a huge gamble on a bizarre low-budget film about a fictional British heavy metal band. The film was called This Is Spinal Tap, Forging an Identity, and with This Is Spinal Tap, Rob Reiner, the director, had arrived. It was a work of genius, a pitch-perfect satire that basically invented the mockumentary genre and remains one of the most beloved comedies of all time. And in it, Reiner cleverly cast himself as the documentarian, Marty DiBergi, a nod to his own transition from in front of the camera to behind it. And for the next decade, what he accomplished was just breathtaking. He showed this astonishing versatility, mastering a new genre with almost every single film. After the comedy of Spinal Tap, he gave us the charming teen romance The Sure Thing in 1985, a year later. It was a timeless masterpiece with Stand By Me, a poignant adaptation of a Stephen King story. And you can feel how personal that film was to Reiner, who related to its theme of a young boy feeling unseen by his father. Then came the endlessly quotable fantasy adventure The Princess Bride in 1987. During this time in 1987, Reiner co-founded Castle Rock Entertainment, a production company that would back his own films and also produce classics like The Shawshank Redemption and a little show called Seinfeld and his golden streak continued. In 1989, he gave us When Harry Met Sally, which completely set a new benchmark for romantic comedies. A year later he shifted gears completely and terrified audiences with Misery, guiding Kathy Bates to an Oscar. And in 1992, he delivered the explosive courtroom drama A Few Good Men which got a nomination for Best Picture. By the mid-90s, with films like The American President also on his resume, Rob Reiner was no longer Carl Reiner's son or Meathead. He was one of the most powerful and respected directors in the world. But as his filmmaking voice grew stronger, so did his political conscience. And as we're now learning, a devastating family crisis was beginning to unfold in private. Section 3. Conviction, controversy, and a tragic end. While a lot of people in Hollywood are politically active, few wove it into their public life like Rob Reiner did. He didn't just donate, he led campaigns. In 1998, he spearheaded the push for Proposition 10, a California ballot initiative using tobacco taxes to fund early childhood education. In 2009, he and his wife Michelle co-founded the American Foundation for Equal Rights, launching the court case that successfully challenged California's ban on same-sex marriage, a fight that went all the way to the Supreme Court. This activism came at a cost. His outspokenness, especially his relentless criticism of Donald Trump, made him a deeply polarizing figure. He certainly didn't seem to have a tough time expressing himself politically. He refused to be silent, and you have to respect the conviction, whether you agreed with him or not. But as the old saying goes, you never know what goes on behind closed doors. For all his public battles, his greatest and most painful one was private. The details that have emerged since his death are heartbreaking, painting a picture of a family in crisis, dealing with their son Nick's long and difficult battle with drug addiction. Just this past September, Reiner released Spinal Tap to Asterisk, returning to where it all began. Over 4 decades after his directorial debut, the film hit streaming services on December 12. 2 days later, he and his wife were gone. The Los Angeles Medical Examiner confirmed they died from multiple sharp force injuries. It's the story of a man who fully emerged from every shadow that ever defined him. The complex relationship with his father grew into one of deep, mutual respect before Carl Reiner's passing. He built a body of work that rivals any of his peers, and he used his incredible influence to fight for the causes he believed in. But none of that success, none of that power, could save him from this final, unthinkable tragedy. Conclusion. The story of Rob Reiner is one of transformation. From meathead to a master of modern cinema, from the son of a legend to a legend in his own right. He gave us characters who felt like family in movies that feel like home. But his untold story is one we're just beginning to understand. It's a story of a public life lived with loud conviction, and a private life marked by a quiet, desperate struggle. He fought to find his own voice, and once he found it, he used it to create a legacy of cinematic genius. But in the end, his story serves as a truly tragic reminder that behind even the most celebrated lives can be a depth of pain and struggle that the rest of us can never truly know.